Hello there, and welcome to the 7th installment of my new Exotic Industries run for Factorio. And currently we are 11 hours in, and madness is closing in on us. You know, I've already made all this happen, I made this happen, and things are getting only worse and worse. I lately thought about one thing. I'm here, and I'm currently, I have 20.6% of the way towards here done. Now, listen to that. I already pay 540 science packs for every freaking piece of technology. I'm afraid of the trend that this is showing. I think this is going to be one of the largest factories that I've ever built if I want to have any hope of winning this mod pack. That being said, welcome to this one. Today we're going to set up our first measly peasily steel mill. It is the best that I can muster under the current circumstances. I've set up the blueprint for it. We will yield 6 steel ingots per second, because that's what we can bring up currently. 15 iron ingots, and the rest of this will be all for the carbon source for the steel. So it's pretty classic setup. The mod pack does make things a little bit more complicated. We have to crush the coal first, and then we have to refine the coal again into refined coke. The nice part about today's thing that we're going to build is the fact that we're going to create, what was it called again? Coal gas. And coal gas can be refined into the basic substances that will yield us plastic. So, in a nutshell, we have the steel and a plastic source in one go. And I find that a pretty interesting thing to install. But what's not so interesting to install are the basics before we are going to hit that town there. I handcrafted all these things way faster than I thought I'd had to do, but it's the same old. We're going to set up one little mining outpost here, one little mining outpost there. We're going to free up that field, we're going to mine some coal. Basically, I'm going to do those things that we've all did hundreds of times before, and we've seen 1,000 times before. So my plan is I'm going to tune in once things get interesting and we get those crushes rolling and all that. Until then, I'll just prep up the fields and I'll tune in when things get interesting again. Now then, here we go. Here's what I cooked up so far. We got now the iron stuff set up, and while I was setting up this entire thing with more miners than we actually need, because, poverty is over, we can now build as many miners as we need. Take that, poverty, in your face. Well, the coal patch, I didn't fill it up like that because I'm not that rich after all. And now we're going to set up the basic first materials for steel. So I cooked up the same design that I did the last time with the split up belt. This is producing 15 iron ingots per second. After all, we need these iron ingots, and then we transform these iron ingots over here into dust again. Yeah, we're just like that. And also we're doing these crisscross crazy poles because I hate them, but yeah, well, we're gonna have those medium ones for fancy wiring soon, promise. Down here, I went for some ingenuity over the course of the time. Well, we still have those burner assemblers, and I was like, yeah, we might give them another shot, don't we? So I use those burner assemblers now to get away the slag. I'm somewhat afraid that they won't be tackling the task at hand, but, well, I mean, I could technically bring up just another one. Let's see. It was just an idea to utilize the fallen heroes of the onslaught, but I can already foresee that this won't work. This thing is just too slow. Probably this guy here is not too slow, but the other guy is too slow. Whatever. Up here, as you see now, we are processing those iron ingots into dust, and this is the most tricky part, because we are currently outputting, check, where are we here? We are outputting 30 piles of crushed iron. This is problematic because our yellow belts, they only transport 15 items. So here's what I did. So one half of the belt, every 4 machines produce 8 units of dust. So I wired it up like that. And, well, it just doesn't work yet. I really hope that by the end of this, I will be able to produce the red belt and then we just string it up easy. But currently, we cannot produce red belt because plastic bars. But, you know, at the end of the process, we will have plastic bars. But currently, I've decided that I'll just roll with 2 belts. 15 piles of dust each. The best we can do. We'll optimize that as soon as I have access to red belts. Now, the next step is the coke refining. We haven't set that up yet. So we're going to cook up some oil refining, and the most exciting part is going to be that we got this side product here. So I'm going to go and play around behind the scenes to fetch that up, and then I'm going to demonstrate how that worked. Also in the background, I'm researching inserter capacity bonus, because here this actually increases the capacity of these guys way earlier. You see, in vanilla you don't get a second non-stack inserter capacity +1 after the first tech. So this is a lot more interesting than in vanilla, because this way I was able to lower the total amount of inserters by a lot. Helps a ton. So we're going to science our way down the road further, because, you know, we want new techs at some point. But yeah, that's not the point here. So I'm going to go back on my teleportation square, and we're going to cook up some nice coke refining, and then I'm going to talk again. Now, let's go and complete this task. So I have put up a bit of a machinery here, and here's what we got. So first off, the coal gets transported into the refineries. Those refineries are being powered up by the heaters. These heaters are being powered up by coal that we're leading through here. That coal is being refined there, and the byproduct, the coal gas, is for now being stored in that tank. I'm falling back so much on those burner inserters in this mod pack because they are so good for tasks like these. Let's crop that, we don't need that. So, the processed coke then goes over to those crushers, where the processed coke runs on over to the assemblers, where the processed coke and the crushed iron will be processed together into steel blend. So it's a pretty painstaking process, and you know, the fact that we haven't had red belts available while I was doing this made the whole process a little bit more complicated than I'd liked it to be. Anywho, with that steel blend, we go down here to those nice and dandy smelters, and yeah, the rest is steel. So, of course, there's still one thing that I need to do. That's get rid of the slag, of course. I haven't done that here yet. So we're going to set up a similar slag remover, just like we had there before. It's one of those mod packs where I leave landfill manufactories left and right, because, you know, it's just the easiest way of getting rid of the dirt. But, you know, I really don't mind. It's not the first mod pack that I roll with that has these kind of mechanics, so, you know, we got distributed all over the map, those little depots where we got landfill by the end of this. Probably one day it'll clog up a little bit because of that, but in all honesty, I really don't mind too much. Alright, good friends, so we have made progress. So that's practically a really big one for us, because we have now access to steel. So now we go on over to the other part of the equation, and that's now the coal gas refining. You know, we can't take benzol and transform we can take coal gas and transform that into benzol and petrol and residual oil. So the benzol and the petrol I'm going to transform into plastic, and the residual oil, well, I think, is there anything better than solid fuel for that? So let's see. Of course, we could distill it. It's pretty amazing what you can do there. Let's see, but no, solid fuel is for now best way to go. I mean, I don't really need that, but hey, whatever. We're going to fetch up that plastic production here. It's going to be a very small scale thing, but you know, I personally think it's very much worth it to have that because you know it's plastic, and with plastic we can do so freaking many things. Let's get on over here. So yeah, 15 uses. So the insulated wire is going to be used for the longer ranged towers. That's one thing that I really, really want to have. That's really the most urgent pressing usage of plastic. Then we got the red belts, of course. So I got the slight feeling that by the end of the day, we're going to make much, much more plastic somewhere else. But for now, let's utilize the byproduct. I think it might speed up the red belt production accordingly. Right, here goes another little machinery. So, I didn't really do much here. I just wired up the tank with the coal gas to 2 oil refineries. Because my calculations were like that, we can set up 2 of these. I gotta update my mod pack. I read yesterday that this recipe has been reformed to be a little bit more generous. But under the current circumstances, we're producing like 1 plastic bar per second, which is pretty cool in its own regard, but you know, we are not really done yet. So I forgot one thing that I actually meant to create, and that was another flare stack. So let's go forward here. I'm using the coal here for the heater, and here we have 2 of these refineries, nothing special. The output is being wired into that chemical factory, and the chemical factory is just processing the benzol and the petrol together. And what I'm going to do here with the layer stack should be pretty clear. We are going to dispose of the residual oil. I was originally considering to transform it into solid fuel. We can still do that if we'd really want to, but at this point of the map, I really didn't need any extra fuel production, so it would only turn into another buffer that I need to manage at some point, and that's something I really, really didn't want to do. Instead, we have a nice and clean production of 1 plastic bar per second. Not really much, but I also decided to be a sneaky little wire and went and combined the steel with the plastic. Because, you know, the steel ingots that we're producing are currently only 6. So that little machinery here will be actually totally... that little belt here will be actually totally okay with what we got there. So let's let the machinery run alongside here. And that's what brings us to the mall to be. So this is where I really, really need to step back and redesign, because there's quite a lot of stuff in this mod pack, you know? We got really, really a lot of things that we can do or can't do now. And, you know, I got to sit back and reconsider that. Why am I saying this? Well, because I'm going to end today's episode quite soonish. But there's one more thing I want to do before I go today, and that's some green circuitry, because I feel like that's one part of the whole mission that we really, really got to do. The nasty part about this is we need, like, 2/3 iron and 3/3 copper, or, well, we need 22.5 units of copper per second and only 15 units of iron per second. That means we have kind of a weird situation there in terms of, well, splitting that up, and, oh, well, it's a bit of a messy recipe. And since I don't have the necessary throughput available, it's going to be even harder. Well, I'm going to whip up the miners and see how much throughput I can generate by just connecting what I've got here on this patch and on that patch. And I'm going to run some calculations and get myself some more assemblers going. But that's going to be probably the last thing for this episode. I know episodes are growing a little bit shorter lately, but you know, setting up these machineries is a lot of fun behind the camera, and it's also taking a lot of time. Also, well, I feel like I rather make shorter episodes in a steady pace instead of having lots of longer episodes burning me slowly out. You surely appreciate steady influx of videos. So, the purifier tech, I wanted to talk about that real quick. So, this is one really interesting part of tech because we can purify ores with that. We really just need to add water and we get pure ores. What are pure ores good for? Of course, they are not producing any slag. Dirty water, we can filter out the slag or sand as we see fit. So, or we can vent it away as we want to. This is the future of metal processing for us, or one step towards the future. But I'm going to run the stuff that I have right now as it is, and the upcoming versions of our smelter stacks will work like that. I'm still working towards solar energy because that's always a nice thing. So next step is going to be semiconductor processing, filled with stuff that I don't have yet, but I want to beeline towards solar energy because, you know, I feel as if will need that in the far-fetched future. Anywho, off to the electric circuit building I go. And I'm back for some further magic. So that was probably the worst understatement that I ever made when I said I just want to quickly finish that thing. So let's start with this three-part show. So first, I set up this little mining array for the copper ingots. You know, we need a lot of these. I have set up the whole factory to make 6 electronic circuits per second. The whole thing has been stitched up with the materials that we have available. The ingots, well, they oh, whoa. Here we have already the first calamity of this. This should have been. I forgot a filter. Yeah, showtime is already a little bit wonky, but whatever. We just fix that slack filter quickly in, and then we'll pretend as if nothing had happened. So there's always some small things happening with these systems. So here we go. The copper plates, they're being made, and as you see here, I'm doing this little snake game again. That's because we're producing 9 copper plates, and as you have might already seen here, the problem is quite simple. Only 7.5 items can be on one side of the belt, and yeah. Business as usual. These 9 copper plates now get transformed into 18 copper cables, 12 of them happening on this side and 6 more happening on that side. It's a bit of a nightmare that's happening here, especially since, well, we're all doing this just with tier 1 belts. These guys here, they are for the final step. These cables are actually needed for the circuits themselves, and these cables here, they are necessary for those electron tubes, but we're far from being done. So let's get on over to Stoneland. You know, electron tubes, they require glass, and we got a lot of goodness here still to go. So I installed a couple of electric mining quarries and crushers. The sand here from the crushers goes into furnaces. The glass from these furnaces goes all the way down here to the electron tube factories. That's step 1. And step 2 is all that sand. We have here again 12 units, so you have that snake game. That sand is being transformed into ceramics. So we have here the ceramics factory. And since I need equal parts of glass and ceramics, and here is again a little bit of a mistake in there. I have again forgotten a bit of a slack filter, but these things are, in all honesty, the smallest of my worries. So we're quickly slapping these in. And this is already a slack line. Wonderful. So we can fix that really quick in. And here we then got all the necessary small parts that we require. Slack goes out and ceramics and glass stay in, and this way we get the nice throughput that we require. Here we make those electron tubes, and as you see here, they're being output on the long side into that facility. So we're almost there, my friends. We're almost there. There's only one part of the facility that I haven't hooked up yet, and that's the ion pod. Yeah, it's electronic circuits and exotic industries are quite something, I tells ya. I have been today 2.5 hours on this session, and all I have achieved was bringing up a steel outpost and bringing up electronic circuits and bringing up a small amount of plastic. But I don't want to sound mopey here. I'm actually quite happy that it worked out that well. So here we have now the iron plates, and these guys are the last missing ingredient for our green circuit. So we got now pretty much everything in place that we require for a larger scale factory, and that is exactly what I'm pretty excited about, to be honest with you. It's been quite some work. I really keep being shocked about how much effort in detail there lies beyond exotic industries. But at the same time, I gotta say, green circuits have never been so much fun in a certain way, because the recipes here, they are demanding, but they aren't terribly complicated, you know? It's especially been a lot of fun balancing out a throughput of 18 copper cables on tier 1 belts. That's been a very special kind of fun. And here I led those electron tubes together with the iron plates, because we have here again the same ratio. So these things went well together. Also notice the fast and sodas that get into action here for the very first time. And here we got it, my friends. Green circuits. So that's the end of today's episode. It's been cut a little bit shorter, but as a matter of fact, this has been actually one of the longest episodes that I've made so far. But, you know, it's all dandy. I really am happy that I made all this, because now we are actually able to create a proper mall. This is all just expansionary wares, you know. I don't think that we're going to be able to sustain a proper lab with that. This is just the basics, I think, that we're going to use to get ourselves all those buildings produced that we require, you know. If I saw it correctly, except for bricks, I have pretty much everything together right now. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Leave me your comments down below, my friends. It's the end of today's episode, and I'm very happy you've been hanging around again. Leave a thumbs up on that one. If you'd be so kind, I'd be very delighted, because, you know, there's a lot of help behind that. And also consider subscribing. It's pretty nice to have new subscribers, and it always helps out the channel a lot. That being said, I thank you again for watching, and see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.